Hi, Emma. Thank you so much for being here on my show today. I'm really excited to talk to you about everything, your business, your backstory, your pig, everything. So thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk as well.
So give us a little bit about your background. Have you always been an animal lover?
Yes. Lifelong, as I'm sure most of us have been. And for a long time, I thought I wanted to be a vet. I grew up working with animals, working with vets, shadowing them. And I ended up going to college for animal science and pre-veterinary medicine. And at that point, when I graduated, I also got into a really intense horseback riding accident and actually broke my back, was supposed to be paralyzed.
Wow.
And yeah, and that is when the world of animal science and CBD merged for me and
Wow.
sort of led me down the path of where I am today with this business.
Okay, so I'm struggling to know if we should talk about your business first or if we should talk about your pig first.
It's really your call.
All right, let's talk about your pig first and then we'll go into all your business stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah, sorry.
So that's okay. So tell us when you decided to get a pig, what made you decide to get a pig, all that.
Yeah, so it goes back to the decision to get a pig, goes back to college. Through that animal science program, one of the classes was swine production, which is geared towards pigs for market.
Right.
That's something that I wanted to do,
Hmm.
but I wanted to learn about pigs because I grew up in Los Angeles, so not a lot of exposure there. But I was always drawn to them for some reason. So in school, I got, like a formal education of how to raise them in that sense. And then through work in animal rescue and working on different ranches and farms, I got to know pigs in a different way, in the way that like resonated with me. And through rescue, I discovered my pig Patrick, and now I actually have two pigs. I have Patrick and Lily.
Okay.
Um, but Patrick was the first one, and his mom was at a shelter. She was set to be euthanized, which is a common occurrence for pigs. As you know, people get them, they don't realize what it entails or how big they're going to get, this and that,
Yes.
and they end up in a dog shelter.
Hmm.
And that's a bad environment for them. A lot of dog rescues don't know what to do with pigs, understandably. So, yeah, his mom was set to be euthanized. A friend who's also involved in rescue rescued her. Later found out she was pregnant. She had her piglets on New Year's Eve, fun fact. And yeah, and I saw Patrick and was drawn to him, decided to adopt him, and have had him now for 3 years. He's going to be three this December. And last year, almost a year to date, is when I got Lily, and she's also a rescue. She was through a friend of a friend because their neighbor was going to release Lily out into the desert to be hunted by their hunting dogs as
What?
like training. Yeah. Um, and the neighbor got alerted. That neighbor is in dog rescue, so again, animal lover, but doesn't really know, what to do
Yeah.
with pigs, but just wanted to help and reached out to me because I have a little farm now, and she knew that I had Patrick, and this that, and so I said yes, of course, I'll take Lily. I was looking for a friend for Patrick because they're social, they need friends, and it was
Hmm.
about the right time. So she was just, gosh, she was tiny, super, super tiny at the time. And yeah, I've had her for about a year now too. So now I have Patrick and Lily, and they're great friends.
So which one? Now I looked on your Instagram account and one of them is all pink mostly with just a
That's
little
Patrick.
bit. That's Patrick. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then,
I didn't see the other one on there.
yeah, Lily, she's more, she's black, and then she's got four white feet, and then like a white stripe that goes halfway like up to her shoulder blades.
Okay.
Um, and a little white tip on her tail. I think you're probably looking at the business Mikkos Choice Instagram,
Yep.
and yeah, Patrick tends to be on there more. He just is more like interactive, I guess you could say. And then I have another Instagram account that focuses on like the rescue and life on the farm and things like that, and that's called Brian Kangle, and I would say she shows up on there more.
All right, I'm going to have to follow that account because I
Yeah.
didn't see her on there. Will you tell us a little bit about their personalities?
Sure. So Patrick is he's funny. He has a little bit of stranger danger. He's a
Mm.
COVID pig, which is like
Yeah.
kind of funny. So he didn't get a whole lot of socialization with other people. But he really likes to explore. So I'll take him on walks, on a leash, and he'll do little hikes with the dogs that are, not strenuous or anything. But he really likes to be out in the world and explore. But people, he'll kind of like fade back a little bit and be like, whoa, who are you? Like he
Yeah.
just takes a second to out. But with me, he's very loving. Like if I'm sitting down, he'll just come down and plop right next to me. And he often will follow me around the house, and he likes to get tucked into bed every night. He has a special little routine. And he's just very sweet. He's never bitten, he's never swiped, like none of that. Lily is like the complete opposite. She's extremely outgoing with people. She'll walk right up to you, no problem. Doesn't matter who you are. She's very, very brave. And she will also tell people when she's had enough of them, and she might swipe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got her, she would swipe at me all the time. And I just think partly because she, for a long time, was like in a defense mode,
Oh, yeah.
from where she came from.
Mm-hmm.
But now she's very, very sweet too. And she will often find me and just like stand next to me and just like give a little honk to be like, hey, I'm here. Can we hang out? Okay. And she also likes to be tucked into bed, and she will like cuddle right up next to me, and just like she's really turning into a really sweet, sweet pig.
Oh, they sound precious. They sound so sweet. So how do they do with your dogs?
They do well. They both grew up with dogs.
Mhm.
So I've had Brian. When I got Patrick, we had two dogs at the time. The second dog has since passed away because he was a senior.
Mm.
But so they've known Brian like from their little, life as piglets. So it's always just been him, and they've always been great with him. And they're comfortable around other dogs too, but they will just let the other dogs know that like they're in charge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they'll kind of like, Patrick will do like mini charges.
Mm-hmm.
Lily will do the same thing. But they're good about like saying, hey, I need this space, and then just kind of leaving it at that.
Yeah.
And what's cool too about them is when I bring in a lot of foster dogs or friends bring over dogs, I can tell a lot about that dog based on how the pigs react.
Mm.
Because if the dog is okay with pigs, or even if the dog's a little bit unsure and nervous, basically if they're not going to be aggressive, if they don't have that like predator instinct, the pigs will be okay. They'll interact, they'll go up to them. But if that is not the case, the pigs will like run.
Oh, wow.
So it's very clear to me, like, okay, this dog is okay, or this dog is not okay to be around them.
Wow. And I'm sure that you're always supervising them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Has to be said because there's always people out there who are like, oh, yeah, they're great together. They're fine. But
Yeah,
they,
no.
yeah, especially new dogs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even
Absolutely.
Brian, like Patrick and Brian have lived together for 3 years. I'm like so not worried about it. But if I do have to leave and the house is empty, like I still separate them because
Right.
it's just not worth it.
Exactly. Exactly. What do you think has been the biggest challenge having pigs?
I think it's a little bit of people's perception,
Oh, yeah.
honestly. And bringing people into the house and getting them to understand how to be around the pigs.
Mm-hmm.
And also, because the pigs are so sensitive and emotional, as they, they're not as like easygoing.
Right. Yeah.
They have reactions to people, they have reactions to other animals that are brought in. And it is really sad. Like the other day, a plumber came, right? And he was a big, huge guy. And Patrick, who's normally like okay with people, even though he's a little bit nervous, he doesn't panic, but he panicked and he like ran. And that was just really hard to see, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, because you know that they're so intelligent that he's having a very sort of advanced reaction, I guess you could say.
Yeah. They're extremely intuitive.
Yeah.
They know it. A lot of people think that just dogs are that way, but pigs are so much like that way.
Yeah.
So, anything else as far as just having like a pet pig in the house?
Well, for me, honestly, it's been okay. You know, I haven't had a lot of problems. I think maybe because I'm very easygoing. And also I just sort of understand that things will happen, you know, like they might get into stuff. They need some time getting used to things. But I think what people don't understand, and I think where people have trouble with them in general, is that they are very emotional and they are very needy and they're also very loud at times.
That's true. Yeah.
Which I think people really don't understand. Like on the Brian Kangle Instagram, I'll share videos of the pigs like in the morning when they're hungry, like
Yeah.
screaming. And people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like that's that's too much for me.
Yeah.
Uh, and they don't expect that, which I understand. So it's little behaviors like that that I think if you don't know, it might be overwhelming.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. It's important to know what you're getting into. It's important to know
Yeah.
what you're bringing home. Now,
Right.
you are somebody who you've been around horses for a long time, right?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I have not. I mean, I've been around them a little bit, not a ton. But
Mhm.
from what I've learned, I feel like pigs and horses are kind of similar in
Mhm.
how they like the hierarchy thing, how they need to have a strong leader. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, I do. And also the sensitivity factor,
Mm,
you know, because horses are very sensitive to energy, and I think pigs are too, in a way that dogs aren't. I mean, dogs are sensitive to energy, of course, but the instinct of a horse or a pig to fight or run, fight or flight,
mhm.
I think is very strong and very like triggered instantly and very intense. You know, it's
Mm,
very big. Like when a horse explodes and runs, it's very big and expressive. And same for pigs. You know, a lot of people I think don't realize how fast a pig can be,
yeah. Hmm.
and how fast and loud they can be,
Yeah.
and also semi-dangerous if they have tusks or if they're coming
Yeah.
at you. And I think that can be very surprising because people look at a pig and you don't think that that animal can move the way that they can.
Yeah. You think they're fat and lazy
Right.
and that there's no way they have any get up in them, but they really do. Not
They
for a long
really
period
do.
of time.
Yeah, right. Sure.
It's a short period of time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you said that because that's how I feel. And I tell people that a lot, that people who know horses really well tend to do
Mhm.
really well with pigs.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's why I feel like it's been, you know, a very easy transition. Like you know, it's not surprising to me, and that very well could be it. You know, I really haven't put that connection together before.
Hmm. All right. So I'm going to go to the next question. What is your favorite part about having pigs?
I love how connected they are. They, like we've said, they're so emotional and they're so in tune that they will often, they're just so sweet to have around and comforting and entertaining, and they make you think about things, and just the way that they will come and check in throughout the day, and they just want to be, if they trust you, they just want to be with you. And there's something about when they come and they cuddle up next to you and they kind of like shift around and then they just like plop, you know, like they do.
Yes.
It's just so, it's so sweet because you know that they truly feel safe and they're truly comfortable because they're such a prey animal that they wouldn't do that,
Right.
you know, if they don't feel comfortable. Whereas dogs can, even if they're a little bit nervous, they're not a prey animal. So it's just a different feeling.
Yes, completely different.
Yeah.
And something you said made me think of something, like when your pig is standing next to you and they look up at you, their
Yeah.
whole head is high, like they're comfortable, they're happy, and you can look in their eyes and you can
Mhm.
just see trust You can
Mm-hmm.
see that bond that you've built with them and the love that they have for you. That is that is something that can bring me to tears when I see my little pig looking at me. I love that.
Yeah, their eyes are so expressive. They're sort of like, I think a lot of people get this feeling when they see the eye of a whale and they're like, whoa, that looks so human-like. It's very surprising. You don't expect it. I think that's the same for pigs because, like you said, their eyes are often like half closed a lot. And when you see that eyeball, you're like, whoa, there is like, you can just tell that there's intelligence behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I often like getting on their level and looking them in the eyes for those reasons.
Yes. That is something that a lot of people say to me when they come here, they interact with my pigs for the first time. Their eyes look so human.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. I do love that aspect about them.
Mm-hmm.
If you had one chance to give somebody a piece of advice before getting a pet pig, what would that be?
Oh, that is a good question. I know I've been thinking about it. um, I think my advice would be to just be very open to the experience. Be open to a shift in your perspective about what it's like to be around them, because I don't think you fully understand this like deep connection that you can have
Mm.
until you've had it. And I think that's why people sort of think that pig people are maybe like a little bit odd. But once you get it, like you get it. Like I've seen this transition with my family members and my friends, my close friends, um, who now truly like think of Patrick and Lily as like dogs, you know,
Yeah,
as as members of the family, and their
right.
perspective has just totally shifted. And they're like, of course we want the best for them. Of course we don't want them to be upset, all these things that I think people are a little bit hardened to at first.
Mm. That's interesting. I do think that there's no amount of reading and research and talking that you can do that can really prepare you for the amount of, like you keep saying, like how emotional they are.
Mm-hmm.
And because when people think of the word emotional, they think of, oh, somebody who cries all the time. No, no.
Right.
These are beings who feel very deeply.
Right.
They
Right. And
feel things.
yeah, and maybe emotional is like not the best word. Maybe it's more of a connection, like a relationship.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think too that sometimes, um, oh, I lost my thought about something about oh, I forget it.
It'll come back.
I'll remember. I'll remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you said it. These are creatures that you're able to have a deep relationship, maybe understanding with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
There's definitely,
really, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, the understanding is true. Like the other day I had somebody over and the pigs were vocalizing, and as you know, they have all these different vocalizations, and I just, like you said, I just understood what they wanted in
Yeah.
that moment or what they needed. And this person was like, how do you know that? Like, like how? And so we went into this whole, conversation about distinguishing their different sounds and what they need and based on their body language and all this
Mhm.
stuff. And that person, kind of example of what I was talking to earlier, had no idea and was just blown away by the intricacies of it all. And they happened to be also a psychotherapist. So then it was like even like this other level of kind of discovery of the intelligence and of that relationship and that connection that can happen. And yeah, I think people truly just don't know what that can be like.
Yeah. And then once you, yeah, definitely sometimes I think pig people are a little weird. I'm gonna own up to that one for
Yeah,
sure.
it's fine. It's fine.
But I think that, excuse me, when you get your first pig and
Mhm.
you build that relationship with them and you really work to build it, not just have a pet pig outside that you feed
Right.
twice a day. Like this is a pig that you build a deep bond with.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you get to know them. You get to know what they want, what they like, their vocalizations, what they're asking for, what they're telling you, and they're communicating with you. Then that builds an addiction because you can't live without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes I say that pigs are like potato chips. You can't have just one. They're the best. And we have all kinds of animals. We have a small farm, a little homestead here. So I have a couple cows, a couple goats, we have dogs, we have cats. What else?
Chickens?
Ducks, chickens, yes. All those things. And I love my cow so much. But my pigs, we have a house pig. We just got our first in the house dog of my entire life. My son got one. So, but I've had pigs for 20 years. So that was enough for me.
Yeah.
That was enough. I love my pigs. They're easier than a puppy. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they are in a lot of senses.
Oh, yeah. They're quieter. They're easier to potty train, all that stuff. All right. So we have talked about your pigs. Love them. Now let's talk a little bit about your business. I mentioned that I saw on your Instagram for your business, what happened to you and the horse that kind of started the whole thing. Will you tell that story?
Sure. So that horse is Mikko. He's the inspiration for the brand, hence Mikkos Choice. And he is a wild Mustang that I adopted for a ranch about 10 years ago now. I was working for that ranch at the time, running their horse program. And that was the same summer that another horse broke my back and I was paralyzed. And that was 2 months into having Mikko at the ranch. And as a wild Mustang, he was wild. He didn't want to interact with people. So he needed a lot of training. They thought that that was too much without me being there. It wasn't the right fit for him. So they sold him, which was their prerogative. They could, but they also didn't tell me. So I didn't know until a little bit later. And he just disappeared. Nobody knew where he went or what happened to him, which is the risk that you take, when you sell any animal, but especially a horse, especially a wild horse that's not trained. And 2 years later, super random, he just reappeared on Craigslist and he was very skinny. He didn't, he just physically didn't look good. And I immediately responded to the ad and said, yeah, like that's my horse. I'm going to come get him. And I did. And when I picked him up, yes, he was in horrible physical shape, but more so mentally. He was a completely different horse, even though he was wild and fearful before. Like this was in a different way, like in a fear that had been done to him, a fear that had been created.
Oh no.
Whether like intentional or not, there's a lot of like controversial ways that you can train horses that are acceptable, but in my mind are not, and so, yeah, I got him back and he was extremely fearful. He was extremely anxious. We went through a whole year, like 2-year process of gaining trust in a relationship. And he was so dangerous that people said that I should just kill him. But I wasn't getting that feeling when he was with me. He was just outwardly acting that way with other people who were trying to help me. He broke a lot of bones on other people, things like that. So I can understand to some degree why people would think that, but I just saw a different like being within him. We just needed to like help him foster, that. And so through that process, I was also working in the cannabis industry. I had a delivery service with my brother that I was running, and I got into that industry after my accident because CBD and cannabis was the way that I got off opioids, after my surgery and my recovery, because I was relying on them heavily with nerve pain, but I didn't want to, I didn't enjoy the experience. And so I recognized how that plant helped me through physical pain, got me eating again. It helps the nerve pain to the point where the nerve pain completely went away. It helped my muscles. Really, so I had like a very personal experience with it. And then on top of that, at the same time, my dog was diagnosed with hepatocellular carcinoma, which is terminal liver cancer, and given 4 months to live. And I decided to give him CBD at the time, because, why not? I didn't want to go through chemo for him. I didn't want those last few months of his life to look like
Yeah,
that.
right.
And so that was like 2014, 15, when products for animals just like didn't exist. And so with him, I experimented on dosing and how often and all the things, and was giving him human products that were already, a little bit new too.
Yeah.
And through him figured out something that worked. And he ended up living for 4 more years. And
Wow.
his cancer like went into remission. And it was like, I mean, I tell that story, but I also just want to be clear that doesn't mean it's going to happen every time.
Right.
But I do still, I've since then helped lots of animals, and I do think it improves the quality of life. I can't say that it's going to do something that drastic. I was also giving him CBD and THC, which you can give THC, but you have to titrate it in a very specific way, and it's a little bit more complicated. So I think that's really what made such a drastic difference. But even if you just do CBD, you're going to improve quality of life. So all that is to say that between my experience with the dog, and then now I have this horse who is just like terrified of the world and his own shadow, I thought, well, why can't I give CBD to this horse? And there were no dog products, so there absolutely were no horse products.
Yeah.
And I basically used my connections with the industry and my experience with animal science to think about like, formulations and things, and came up with these pellets to give to horses. And I did pellets because it's just seemed like an easier delivery system. So I launched with that in 2019, and it's just kind of grown from there organically. Honestly, I really haven't done much marketing, and it's just word of mouth and a little bit of social media. And so from those pellets and testing them with friends and referrals and gaining information through them, it's grown into pellets and tinctures. And soon I'm going to have treats here in the next few weeks, and has grown from just helping horses to dogs, cats, and pigs. Pigs more recently, and I'm really excited for my pig customers because there's just so much that we can help the pigs with, and not a lot of options for them either.
Yeah, you're right. There are very few options. Now, there are companies who make them specifically for dogs.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you're the first that I've ever seen definitely for horses, and just other animals. Am I wrong? Did I see on your oh gosh, I forget if it was your website or whatever, what other animals you can use them on?
Oh yeah, so the tincture is called all animals because
Okay.
literally you can do anybody. So any vertebrate, any animal with a spine, is going to react to CBD and cannabinoids in the same way. So yeah, that's all animals. I
Okay.
mean it.
I
So
thought
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Okay, that's so interesting. So for me, I have piglets that are leaving me. I do a lot of like behavior rehabilitation with pigs. So
Yeah.
pigs that are very aggressive, pigs that are very fearful, they come here. I work with them for 3 weeks, and I would love to have something to help them calm down, because it takes me 3 weeks, because it takes me a week to get them to calm down.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So if I had something that I could use in that first week to just help take the edge off and help them focus, then they wouldn't have to be here so long.
Right, right. Yeah, that's exactly what I tell people. And it's the same case for pigs, dogs, horses, cats, that have that nervous energy, that it's not going to just like make that vanish, but it's exactly that what you said. It can help take that down a notch so that you can communicate a little bit better through training. And so it's like a tool in your toolbox to use for these guys to help them along this like rehab journey. And yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you offline about how we can do that, just like from a price point. And because I'm big about supporting rescue and the type of work that you're doing, and I recognize that CBD in general is, it's not a cheap $5 thing.
Right.
But I think one thing that's a pillar of this company is to support rescue and the rehab work. And so I'm happy to work with organizations to reduce that price point for you and them to just help as much as we can.
Thank you. And especially like you can buy cheap CBD anywhere, at the gas station, but quality is what we want.
Right.
Quality. And it's important that it's tested for heavy metals. It's important that it's tested for mold, pesticides, all those things. And you do all of that, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's a big differentiation between me and other brands. Exactly what you said, all that stuff, sourcing. And also one thing that people don't understand is potency. Potency is very important. And there's a lot of companies out there. I have a chart on my website to compare the tincture specifically, because I think tinctures are more widely known than, say, a pellet. But, the math works no matter what the product is physically. So when you compare how much CBD is in each product and then per dose and then the price, you get a price per milligram. And you can see through the chart on the website the breakdown of like, yes, when you first look at the price of my products, they are more than, A, B, and C, but my products have double the volume usually. And like, I'm so bad at fast math. Let's say like there's a 30 milligram bottle. So my bottle is 60 milliliters. Most are 30. Most of those 30 milliliter bottles have between 200 and 1,000 milligrams of CBD. My 60 milliliter bottle has 5,000 milligrams of CBD in it.
Wow. So, that's a huge difference.
Yeah. So you're looking at per dropper per milliliter of 83 milligrams in mine. And so what that allows you to do is you give more CBD with less actual product. So it's very concentrated. And what that also means is that it's lasting you much longer, because a product with about 500 milligrams, you're looking at between about 20 milligrams in a whole dropper. And a smaller bottle. So you're going to be going through a lot more,
right,
to get to where my stuff is. So not only is the quality great, it's all sourced in the USA by small hemp farmers. It's tested twice, actually. It's tested by my manufacturer who makes it, and then also I send out a separate test. So a third-party independent test for all the things you said: potency of CBD, making sure there's no THC in there, heavy metals, molds, and pesticides, and all of that is on the website for anybody to see. And so you have that quality there, plus the potency, just creates a product that I think has a lot more value and a lot more efficacy, because I see people who try these really cheap CBD products and they say they don't work.
Yeah.
And, they don't work because they're not strong enough, or because people don't understand the dosing behind it. And so a lot of my goal is education as well.
And yeah, and I like that too about your Instagram. It talks a lot about that. Because I think that sometimes people are nervous to try something new, especially because of all the talk about like CBD and, CBD is marijuana, and you know what I mean? Like, it's very not understood.
Yeah.
So they're afraid. They don't want to get their pig high. They don't want to get their dog high, but can you explain a little bit of the difference between CBD and THC?
Sure. So the step back from that is there's two different plants that these products come from. There's a hemp plant and a cannabis plant, and they are closely related, but they're different sort of like breeds within a species, if you want to say.
Okay.
And so the cannabis plant is the most regulated of the two. That's the one that is illegal on a federal level. That's the one that you have state to state laws about. Products from that plant you have to get through a licensed, dispensary or delivery service. So those, if you see a product online or in, convenience store, that's not going to be cannabis. And those products are going to have high THC levels, mostly THC. They're going to be very low in CBD. Some cannabis plants can be bred to have more CBD, but that's just like a nuanced thing. The products that you're going to see online, the products that I sell, the products that you'll see in these stores are going to be from the hemp plant. And the hemp plant has been around a long time. It has been known for its industrial uses. So clothing, building materials, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then through that process, I think is when people realize like, oh, this plant also can have some medicinal benefits as well. And it's less scary in the eyes of regulation because the THC is naturally so low in that plant. So you have like the opposite thing where the hemp plant naturally is higher in CBD than THC, and the cannabis plant is naturally higher in THC than CBD. And so because of that, that's why the hemp plant is not as heavily regulated.
Okay.
That's why you see all these products everywhere. And that's why you see products that have, legally, they have to have less than 0.03% THC, which is like, may as well be zero. And, various levels of CBD in it. So those are the hemp plant is what makes these products and why they're not psychoactive.
Okay. That is a great explanation. Thank you for sharing that. So nobody is going to be getting their pig high.
Nope.
That's not how CBD works.
Correct. And all of my products are also human grade. So I often tell people, if you're nervous, like just use it yourself. Like you can use it yourself. And, if you're feeling anxious or you have a headache or you got some achy joints, what have you, like you can take it too.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. And it's actually been really helpful research because back in the very beginning, before I had the tincture, I actually had an old cowboy eat the pellets. And I was like, well, technically, yeah, like you can, like there's nothing, it's just like a plant. Like
yeah.
That's all it is. Like I don't really add anything. So yeah. And so he ate the pellets and he was like, like my neck just feels so much better.
So you knew you had to come up with the tinctures because you didn't want everybody eating the horse pellets, right?
Yeah. So yeah, and now it's cool because I do have a lot of customers who use it for their pets and use it on themselves, and I use it on myself, and so it's just like an extra step of validation, I think, for people sometimes. Like, okay, yes, there really is no high, and also like, yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's neat. I am really excited to try it.
Cool.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us about your company or anything else? Oh, there was one thing.
Yeah.
You give $5 from every order to tell us.
I say animal rescues, and so that rotates every month. I'll pick different ones. So I sort of on my website I list the ones that I currently do, and so it's a mix of horses, dogs, pigs, and cats, and always welcome to input if there's somebody on there that I don't know about that you think should be included in that. Then happy to do that.
Yeah, very cool. All
Thanks.
right. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing about your products and your story and your pigs. It's been a great conversation. If anybody wants to find you or find your products, how can they do that?
They can go to mikkoschoice.com. That's M like Mike, IKKOS choice.com. And then the Instagram is Mikkos_choice as well. Facebook. And if they're interested in like the rescue side of things that I do, that Instagram is called Brian with an I Kangal, KANGAL.
All right. And we'll put them all in the show notes so everybody can find them easily.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.